I'm Mai, and welcome to My Mellow Life. First off, I would like to thank you for the continuing support of my initial first video about my cancer, and I've been getting a donation to my PayPal as well as an illustration of my logo, which is very sweet, from this lovely person. I've been again reading every single comment, and they are very, very, very lovely, as well as they are very helpful to me, because I'm glad I could help in any way. If I knew this earlier, I would made the video sooner. Since last time I made a vlog, I became partnered with YouTube, which is crazy. I think it was just that initial video that somehow YouTube algorithm just decided to go ham on it. Just people continuing to like the video and comment on that video and subscribe to me helps the algorithm a lot. So I appreciate every single one of you and everybody who just took the time to listen to my video and my story. Me being partnered is gonna help me financially because I don't have to worry about as much for petrol or gas to get to my doctor's appointments, etc. I would also like to clarify the word terminal. Terminal cancer is just terminal because of there's no cure as we know it right now. There might be later on, hopefully in my lifetime. That's what it is now, because I've been seeing some comments, so I hope that clarifies it. Like a small live update, I had a driving test and I kind of failed, so I'm gonna have to do better on that one. It wasn't my best attempt, that's for sure. I think I'm an okay driver, but you know, the nerves got the best of me, and here we are. I still need to be driven to my appointments. This video is gonna be mainly about my UK England experience about being re-diagnosed cancer, being re-diagnosed with PEComa basically, and hopefully there's not gonna be any crying, because this is just like a more in-depth video about everything that happened and everything that's still happening, I guess. We ended the last video on end of 2018 November. That was when I moved to the UK. My contract with my work ended. I had money saved up and I was ready to just live my new life in the United Kingdom, England, Northwest. So I had money saved up. I was ready to just sit down and chill. Basically, I've applied for my national insurance. I've done all this document stuff, you know, legal stuff, all that good stuff. As well as we were planning our wedding with my husband, and we had to just go back and forth through town halls and stuff. They had to interview us, and my husband still can't pronounce my name properly. Like, you know, call me Mai, guys, it's fine. So there was just a lot of running around basically and just sitting at home. We finally got married in February 2019, and funnily enough, it was the exact same day that I got my letter that I got my national insurance number, which subsequently meant that I could get like a GP appointment, which is general practitioner or like your family doctor. And I had my doctor's notes from my operations and on my diagnosis translated to English by a professional. I had to pay for it. It wasn't expensive, but it was not a low sum either. So I've showed those to my general practitioner, and he had then referred me to a gynecologist because it was a kind of problem, I guess. It started there, and then I was also referred to a CT scan. I have gotten the CT scan in my town, and I got a phone call from my gynecologist saying that he wants to see me face to face. Again, we know what face to face means by now. It just means it's very important, and you can't just get a news on the phone because it'd probably be too much. In hindsight, I'm seeing a lot of similarities of just 1 year looping around, because this happened around springtime. So when I sat down in the gyno room, I sat with my doctor, his nurse, my husband. I was told there is something in my lungs, multiple things. So I've heard people saying lesions, but just a lot of tumors. Like one of them, let's say, is around less than an inch. It was not as big, right? It was less than an inch, I think, less than 2.5 centimeters. But yeah, it was a news that hit hard because it came quite relatively early from my last last time I got it operated, right? I said I'm not gonna cry, so I'm not gonna cry. But me trying to be strong all the time doesn't work, so I basically burst into crying in the office. The nurse just mentioned something about my family being Czech Republic, and I just bursted into crying. There's something about emotions that I was so good at holding it back, but there's like a little trigger thing that just makes me go, I'm gonna cry a lot. It was too much. You know what? It's okay to cry, guys. It's okay. Nothing wrong with crying. So I was referred to Christie's, which is a lovely hospital in Manchester that treats patients affected by cancer. So everybody was lovely. I was assigned a doctor who specialized in sarcomas, which is the type of cancer I have. PEComa, it's a sarcoma, and it affects the soft tissues. It's like a long name. I can put it on the screen, but I won't pronounce it for you here. And I have been assigned a key nurse that I can communicate anytime I have an emergency or something, unless there's like a full-on emergency, then like you ring the emergency services. You also get like a card saying I'm a Christie's patient, and there's like a phone number in case something's happening to you, like during the treatment, or like when you're, just whatever you think is not a complete emergency, but you think is an emergency. I was also assigned a social worker from Young Lives vs. Cancer. She's very lovely, and I am so happy that I can now volunteer for Young Lives vs. Cancer. That also brings me to this thing. Next month, August, I'm gonna do a month-long fundraising for Young Lives vs. Cancer using the portal Tiltify. There's gonna be some fun stuff around as well, and hopefully you guys will join me too on my adventure. It should be at twitch.tv/mymellowlife. Should be in descriptions as well. Right, coming back to it. So I've given my contact details about my Czech doctor, to my nurse and my doctor in England. They tried to contact them, but there was like a miscommunication or like issues with translations or something. But Czech doctors or the receptionist, they didn't want to release any information. Because of that, I was referred to do lung biopsy to confirm the diagnosis. I wasn't very happy about the Czech doctors just Czech hospital not being able to cooperate with my UK doctors, but you can't do anything, can you? The biopsy was something different. It was very interesting. I can walk you through the process. I remember my doctor that was doing this. It was also in Manchester, just not in Christie's. And she told me that there are risks, of course, like something can happen, of course. I was warned that there's a slight chance that I could get like an air bubble in my system, and that could potentially kill me, right? But I was reassured right away, saying in her decades of her working as a doctor, it never happened. So I was reassured. So I was escorted by my husband. I was dropped off, and then I was waiting for this procedure. It happens in a tunnel, a CT scan tunnel, and I am laying on my tummy, and my doctor is basically getting there with a long needle first, numbing me, because it is a local anesthetic procedure, so only like part of my body is numbed. I'm meant to breathe shallow. I am okay with holding my emotions usually and like not getting as nervous, so I was fine. I was chilling. It's very weird when you see the doctor just like putting a needle through. It felt like, have you ever gotten like a local anesthetic needle? It feels like it's a long needle. It was a very long needle, by the way, but it feels even longer because of the anesthetic being shot into you. Confusing. You might know what I mean. So basically there's like a long thing in, and then another thing goes into that thing, and that would take out the tissue basically. It didn't take long. I think it wasn't longer than an hour. Probably the longest part of it was the anesthetic kicking in, because we had to wait for me to be numbed there. And then I think the healing process was like a week to 2 to 3 weeks of me not being able to breathe fully, which I already had a problem with because I'm asthmatic as well. So this wasn't a problem. I wasn't doing anything physically demanding, so I had to like breathe. Something about hospitals, I don't get nervous because I trust everybody. Everybody that's there is a professional, they know what they're doing, and I trust them. Hubby then picked me up after the procedure, and I was free to go. Everybody was very welcoming and loving. The nurses, the doctors, and the carers. They were all awing that my husband was picking me up. It was adorable. I remember this. It was very adorable. Just before the summer of 2019, I was rung up and had an appointment with my doctor in Christie, as well as my key nurse. With my husband, we sat down and then we just heard the news, basically, that I was re-diagnosed with PEComa. I already knew that that's gonna be what I'm gonna be diagnosed with again, right? So I was just worried that, do we need any more like information from my check doctors? And my nurse was like, nah, no, don't worry about it. We have the diagnosis here. We have our own tissue testing. It was more of a confirmation thing, right? I was just asking the usual questions here because my doctor was very straightforward, and I loved it because I like when they don't beat around the bush, right? Just tell me how it is. Tell me the facts. And if I have any questions, please answer them, you know? Because if you sugarcoat things, it's not gonna work, is it? So I was told there's no cure. I knew this, but you know, I asked again just in case. And I was offered this chemotherapy. I'm not gonna pronounce it. It's gonna be somewhere on the screen. My nurse also offered me that there's a way to also like conserve my eggs if I wanted to have children in the future. I just kindly declined, and I said, nah, that's not gonna happen. Honestly, at that moment, I had no reason to wanting to have kids because of the nature of my illness, and the future is very, very like unpredictable at this point, right? So I'd rather say no. I was offered this because chemotherapy can make you infertile completely. I already was not able to bear children, but my eggs were still fertile. So I understood where she was coming from, but I just kindly declined, which is fine. My husband was completely supportive of that. We already spoke about it, and I was confident enough to say, no thank you. I don't need to preserve my eggs. I was also given the choice of when I would like to start treatment. So I chose a little later in June or just beginning of July because I wanted to visit my family and potentially say goodbye, right? I didn't want to cry. Okay, one sec. So I went alone on this trip to Czech Republic to visit my family and relatives and my friends, just to talk to them and tell them what's happening and be 100% truthful and realistic and saying goodbye, right? But people were positive. They were trying to cheer me up. It was very lovely. I was going alone because it was about me, basically, right? So I went alone. Let's say there was a lot of crying. This is also one of the reasons why I postponed the video for so long, because I knew I'm gonna cry retelling everything that ever happened. And I don't like to completely relive what happened, but also I think it's very important to just talk about it. It's very important to talk about feelings. It's good to open up. It does lift the weight of your shoulders, because it will either raise awareness or someone could relate to something I'm talking about, and that's enough for me. Opening up about feelings is okay. So when I came home, before I started treatment, I went to do kidney test, which is just to check if my kidneys could process chemotherapy, and it was fine. Everything was fine. It was just like let's say an hour visit, and that's fine. So the actual treatment, so it happened every 3 weeks. It could consist of up to an 8-hour visit. So we would get there in the morning, around 8 to 9 a.m. to first check my blood, and if everything was fine, I could proceed and be okayed for the treatment that day. First, I think, given like steroids and antihistamines, very strong ones actually. So, and then the actual chemotherapy. I had a whole bed to myself during the treatment, and even though my husband always accompanied me, he didn't stay with me the whole time in the room because there were other patients getting treated. I was always the last one to get out, basically. So my husband would roam around either the hospital, because there's a coffee shop, I think, or around Manchester. I would get a cannula either on top of my wrist. My veins are not popping out, but like, yeah, because I didn't want a pick line. I didn't want it in my body, because I would probably pick it, because I'm a picker and I have eczema, and I would just scratch it probably and I would get infected. So I didn't want to risk that. So I just, every time I would get to a treatment, I would get pro with a cannula. Once I got it here, like on this side, because they couldn't get a vein in because they were used for so much. So basically the vein would, let's say, be scared because they knew what's coming, right? There was like a trick where to get the veins out, they would put like a warm cloth or something to make the veins pop more. It helped, but not always. There was like some side effects during the treatment. So I would taste the chemo. Like you would taste it in your mouth, which is weird, right? But sometimes, I don't know if you ever been through, like if you ever had a cannula put in and they put saline through you so they could flush the cannula, you could taste the saline. So let's say you would taste the actual chemotherapy in your mouth. So my only option there was I was drinking a lot of water, so I would go pee a lot because I'm already getting given like all these chemotherapy fluids, as well as just drinking water a lot. And there was a toilet right there, so it was perfect. You could take your little baggies and go to the toilet with you. And there was also like a small little, there was like a box of sweets, which helped as well to mask the flavor of the chemo. And during lunchtime, I always got a free lunch to get something from the kitchen in Christie's, which was very lovely. There was always someone to get our orders. But the side effects that I was experiencing during the whole treatment, basically, even outside of the hospital room, was my hair would fall, of course, but it would happen during the second to third treatment. And because it was falling, I only gone for a bob for a little bit. I think I have a picture somewhere. And when it got very, very annoying and the hair would be everywhere on my bed and everywhere on the hospital bed, then we would just shave it off. I remember getting it shaved off was just in our bathroom. My husband was shaving my head off. I felt like I was taking it fine, and there was like a little hint of feelings in my husband's eyes, and I was just laughing it off. I'm like, look, I don't have to use shampoo. This is great. You don't have to brush your hair. Everything's great. I was like taking it very, very positively. So other like side effects of the chemo were weakness in joints. I had very weak joints during the chemo. Like I would be not able to move as much, not even to toilet, for the first 2 weeks, and then third week I would be fine, and then I'll be hit by chemo again, right? I would be hypersensitive to smells and tastes, so my taste changed a little bit. I think it would probably be so, like some things were revolting and I wanted to throw up, basically. Like some things you would love, you would hate, and vice versa. I also gained a lot of weight because of the steroids I've been given to take my treatment well. Plus I couldn't really move, so that didn't help, did it? So during the chemo, there were some small improvements where somewhere it was shrinking and somewhere it was just stable. So it was great news, actually. They somehow managed to control the cancer by it not rapidly growing, which could have been a factor because there's no cure. This was like a treatment that could work to keep it under control from the inevitable, right? Also I was quite messed. I also was a little worried going outside because I was immune compromised during my treatments. So I got a little isolated and I stayed a lot at home, and I would watch a lot of television. I would binge watch so many shows, and because I couldn't sit as much because of the joint pains, I would have to do it all in my bed. So basically I would lose a lot of motivation, like even playing video games, which I really love. I really love playing video games, and I couldn't sit by the computer for longer than an hour or two, for example. I was very isolated, during this time because I've only managed to work for 3 months, not even. So I couldn't really bond with anybody in the UK to really talk to. But later on, I made some friends online, which is very lovely, and I'm so grateful for them. So basically, my best friend was my television and my husband. So during autumn, fall, you may, of 2019, my chemotherapy finished, and charity has paid for my trip to Prague, which was very lovely because I love movies. If you ever watch Spider-Man Far From Home, they stayed in Prague in a very posh hotel. So I found which hotel it was, and yeah, we got to stay there for 2 weeks. It was absolutely beautiful. The hotel was stunning, very expensive, but it was beautiful nonetheless. It was great to visit again my family and just to see everybody and to show my husband around Prague. I think we stayed for 2 weeks. It could have been even only a week. Honestly, I can't remember. It's been a while. But yeah, it was a very lovely experience. So since 2020 and till now, I've been getting my CT scans and my doctor's visit every 3 to 4 months. During COVID pandemic, it was very hard to see my doctor as much, so it would be mostly phone calls, which I would be told if something has changed or nothing at all. It hasn't restarted its growth until end of 2020, so that's when it actually restarted its growth. Very, very slight growth. So it was millimeter changes. We've always discussed with my doctor about future treatments because I'm feeling well and relatively healthy enough where I could go for a run if I want to. That's never happening, but I am relatively healthy for what is happening in my body. Basically, PEComa is just chilling in my lungs right now, just there. So we didn't want to compromise my healthy body with a treatment that could potentially not work or restart the growth completely. Because that's the thing, there's always a risk that something might not work at all or potentially could harm me even more. Because I'm relatively young, I could bounce back from treatments, so we're gonna just hopefully get treatment around either next year or end of this year. I would like to clarify the trial that was happening in the UK. It was already approved in America, and I would be able to get it in the UK. The treatment is nab-sirolimus, and it could be potentially given to me in Manchester, Christie's, which is lovely. So I don't have to travel either all the way to London or the United States. So I just want to clarify that, so I don't have to travel anywhere farther than I have to. So basically, how did I come across this treatment? So I joined this support group that of people who have the same type of cancer as I have, or similar group, sarcomas, and they would talk about what type of treatments they have and what's happening in their countries, because every country was different. There were Canadians, there were United States citizens, there were British people in that group, and also all over Asia and other countries as well. Sometimes they held meetings basically where people could get to know each other and talk to each other. And just this is how I got to know this lovely lady who told me about this treatment, who told us about the treatment, and she had amazing results. So I was just very hooked on that, and then tried to look up everybody and try to just pry more information. And then this is how I got to talk to my doctor about it basically. So this treatment, I think, was given mainly to Royal Marsden in London, which is quite far for me. It's a 4-hour journey. So I'm glad that my doctor said that it could potentially be administered to me in Christie's Manchester. So I'm very happy about that. So right now I have I'm just getting my usual checks. On Monday I am getting my CT scan, so I should update you on that or take you with me on my scan. I am focused on streaming every weekend around 8 p.m. British Summer Time, except for Saturdays, which is 12 p.m. British Summer Time. You're welcome to join. I sometimes stream randomly. I'm focused on my hobbies like gaming, binging shows and films. I love films and shows, you don't understand. It's like an escape which is, for some people, it might be books, you know. I love books as well, to be fair. I'm going to also be focused on YouTube a bit more because of the being partnered with them, because it could help me financially, which is great. We've even joined a gym, which is crazy to me because last time I've been in a gym was high school. So I'm like relearning all these different things, and because it's a 24-hour gym, I could go there anytime with my husband and we'll check out all the equipment and see how everything works. So it's like a learning experience, and I'm very happy that I'm doing this with my husband. I used to play basketball when I was younger. I know it's very funny because I'm short. I'm like 5'1", which is 154 centimeters, but I would run fast. I'm weird because I'd hate running long distance, but I love running short distance and chasing a ball. There's something about that. I'm very competitive. That's why I love gaming, because of the competitiveness as well as just chilling, because there's Sims 4, of course. I'm learning how to drive. Yesterday, well, I don't know where I'm gonna upload this, but on Thursday I have failed my test, but it's okay. I will get another one and I'll do it again. I will potentially and hopefully be a proud owner of a driver's license by the end of summer, hopefully. Please take care of yourself and your body. You only have one body. Get your prevention checkups. Just, you know, keep it mildly healthy and take care. Have a good rest of the day. See you guys next time, or see you when I'm streaming. Bye. I was referred to Christie's in Manchester from there, and which is a lovely hospital in Manchester. That makes zero sense.